All right, cool. What's up, everybody? I am JulezJP, the community manager of 2XKO, and we're joined by...
I'm Shaun. I'm the game director.
Yeah, so we wanted to just talk to everybody because there's been a lot of really good feedback and discussion about 2XKO, the Alpha Lab, right?
Absolutely.
So let's get into it. I have my phone here because we have all of the notes and things we want to talk about. Yeah, this is very off the cuff, so let's go ahead and do it.
Cool.
Let's talk about all the highlights of Alpha Lab, all the good stuff going on.
First of all, thank you all for giving a ton of really cool clips. I've been seeing a lot of content, a lot of folks streaming, a lot of cool events, exhibitions, tournaments. And yeah, we've been seeing a lot of love. I've been really impressed at the duo play that I've been seeing.
Yeah,
the people pairing up, people onboarding their friends, some hilarious moments, some pop-offs. So yeah, it's been really, really cool to watch.
There's been a lot of discussion around it too, and all of the feedback, which is what we really wanted to get from this.
Yep.
So a lot of it was around core gameplay. There's been discussions around how long the combos are, that there's touches of death, complexity, tutorial. What is your whole take on this? I know you made a blog post, but...
I think the first thing to know is that, we're sharing this very early,
Yep.
right? And a lot earlier than you typically would do. And I think the reason is we really wanted to see a lot of feedback so we could change it in time for release and just make it a better game. To that note though, we heard a lot of feedback that people were having a lot of fun with combos, but also that some of them, for some characters and some specific routes, either were actually too long or just felt too long. That's one of the things we want to address. We want to find that sweet spot where you're getting back to neutral and having fun there, but also you're rewarded for being able to practice and execute on some pretty cool stuff, not just by yourself, but often with a friend as well.
I believe you spoke to it in your blog about the tutorial, and that's one of the places where we definitely have plans.
Another great piece of feedback we heard from a lot of folks was, hey, they were like, this tutorial is pretty bare bones,
right.
And they've been actually giving us a lot of thoughts around things they want to see in it.
Cool.
I think just to kind of reiterate a couple of those, at a high level, folks wanted to see some combo trials with their champions. They wanted to see actual first level strategy with a character. Hey, if I try this character, what should I be doing? As opposed to, hey, I'm learning pulse in some of the basics. Yeah. We also heard hey, I want to see more defensive mechanics shown right away so I can protect myself. And so these are all things we're considering and looking into and expect it to be a lot better in the next iteration.
I want to dig a little bit deeper into the touches of death and the overall complexity. What are the thoughts around that with the team?
We expected a lot of this. However, we wanted to see additional ways that people were digging into this. And what do I mean? What do I mean by that? Well, we just tuned the damage up. We want matches to go a little bit more quickly, be a little bit faster paced and a little bit more explosive. But also, when paired with, hey, two champions hitting a single character, or some of our fuses like Double Down, which lets you combo super into super, or even Fury, which lets you get a boost of extra damage when you're low on health. These are some of the things we expected to see. We definitely saw folks pushing on a lot of the outliers where they would use multiple Double Down super into supers in a combo, as well as using multiple OTG on the ground hits. And so it was great to see all this and hear feedback on it. Ultimately, just to underscore, we don't want the game to be about touch of deaths, right? We want them to exist if you spend a ton of resources and be rare. But if we're seeing them super frequently, it's something we want to address, and we're looking into that now.
I want to also ask you about the overall complexity of the game. There's been a lot of discourse on both sides of people really loving how deep it is, and then other people feeling that it's too hard to get into. What is your take on it?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We talked a little bit about the pulse fuse and how we want to just get people to find the fun right away, hit some buttons, and we're seeing a lot of that. I think there's a little more we could do there as well. This actually kind of ties into onboarding and maybe unlocking moments later on where it's hey, if you want to graduate, you can go into this early player experience, check out this champion, see how you can actually learn the routes from there. There's a lot of systems in this game. That's because we do want a deep game. We want a crunchy, deep, you can spend many hours in this game. And
Last
so
for years, right?
Yeah, and so we also recognize there's an opportunity for players to say hey, cool, let me get in here, let me hit some buttons and have some fun, have a really clear path to the next step. But we don't want people to be overwhelmed and see all that stuff right away. And so it's a fine line to ride, and it's something that we're working on right now.
Yeah, so that brings us into the next thing is matchmaking and netcode. I know there's been some Reddit threads, people are like, there's no matchmaking, but I feel like there's things going on under the hood that might explain it a little bit more. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you select fight and you you decide to invite a friend or not, and you go into the lobby. Under the hood, we're matching you up with folks of similar skill. We're also looking at a bunch of other considerations as well. We've definitely heard and seen a lot of feedback around folks getting matched with players in other regions with very high ping. And so this has been great because this has uncovered a lot more work we could do here. On top of that, though, I just want to be really clear. When folks are like, hey, like the matchmaking's not working, there's a lot of things that could be at play. Like we've also seen folks using pulse fuse versus folks that aren't early on, and those matches feeling very lopsided. So that's one thing. I'll allude a little bit to some features that we wanted to get in that we don't have yet. One of them is we want to be able to nudge you and give you a pop-up if your skill starts to deviate, whether you're getting too good for this current lobby, or you're falling a little bit behind, and say, hey, like, do you want to go to another lobby? And a pop-up will appear. You can hit yes, and it'll put you into a more appropriate skill lobby. We also are going to have a feature later where if you get really far beyond the bounds, it'll be like, hey, we want to get you in another lobby just to ensure that you have a better experience, and it will send you to a new one. But in absence of those, today, if you're playing in the Alpha Lab, if you feel like, oh man, I'm getting beat up a lot in here, like why is everybody a bunch of killers? Or hey, like this is getting a little bit too easy. Maybe your win streak's going too high, too high in the sky. You can actually just leave the lobby and re-enter, and it will find you a more appropriate lobby. And so I strongly recommend that in the future. And then finally, like another thing that we're looking at is comeback potential. Matches can sometimes feel pretty lopsided. And so we're looking at last stand and seeing how well that's performing when it comes to comebacks and making the matches feel like you have a chance when you're down one champ versus two. So that's a lot of feedback we heard as well, and we really appreciate it.
And I think too, with so many people coming in, it takes some time for that to kind of naturalize as well.
Absolutely.
So TLDR, hop back in if the lobby's too hard, exit out and hop back on. Cool. So to dig in a little bit more into the netcode, I've heard and seen reports of really good matchmaking and then sometimes not so great. What is going on there? Can you elaborate a little bit?
That's a great question. So first of all, that's one of the reasons we're doing this test. We're testing in a couple of regions just to see, how folks are getting routed and what kind of experience they're having. And so it's something we're looking into actually right now. I don't have a specific answer for you, but I would just want to say like, hey, if anybody's experiencing like really weird connections or like super high ping, continue to let us know, because that actually lets us like dig in even further. We just want to make a really good, clean experience. And so the more info we can get and feedback from folks, the better.
Oh, this one, peripherals. There's been a lot of peripheral issues, but I heard from Little Bird that there's something cooking, that this is on our radar, right?
Yeah. So first of all, we want to thank everybody for bearing with us on this. There's, we've seen a lot of pain around folks being like, hey, I can't get this peripheral to work, or hey, like it's holding up forever, like a phantom up direction, or any number of other issues. And so, yeah, this is something we're taking really seriously. Thanks to everybody that submitted tickets to player support, and please continue to do so, because that's helping us track everything, like what peripheral you're using, like where you're playing on PC or on console. And so all this information, we're collating it, and it's something that we're taking very seriously and going to address.
Yeah, one thing that I want to point out too, because you mentioned player support, they've been absolutely amazing. If you have any connection issues or if you're stuck on login, please reach out to player support. We've already had a number of people who've been able to get in after reaching out to player support. So just want to spread that word. So make sure to reach out to player support. We'll put the link in the, bio. We'll figure that out. Now that we've talked about peripherals, can we talk about the control scheme? Because I've seen people discussing, oh, I love it. Oh, I just can't get used to it. What is, like, as game director, what are you thinking when you see all of this?
Yeah, so we'll be the first to admit that we're trying something a little different. Having a special 1, a special 2 button, our light, medium, heavy, and then our team button, it's definitely a really different feel. We've heard a lot of mixed reviews, folks that have never played fighting games, folks that have tried games, folks that go hardcore, even at pro level, give a lot of pros and cons, about our current setup. Yeah. And so, if you have thoughts, I'd ask folks to keep letting us know. It's something we're keeping an eye on and monitoring. And yeah, I just want to acknowledge that we've heard a lot of discussion about it, and we want to keep an eye on it. And one thing I wanted to ask is for folks that have thoughts, any kind of thoughts on their layout, we'd also love to hear what peripherals they're using, because that makes a big difference as well. We want to make sure the game feels good for your peripheral. no matter which one you're using. So let us know.
Another really big topic has been accessibility. I'm looking at your notes, and there's been really good notes from OGamer Sego, Aerial Combo, Blind Combat, and Kid Vision who have been talking about it. Can you talk a little bit about the team's philosophy in regards to accessibility?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, shout out to that group of folks and others who have hit us up about accessibility. We take accessibility very seriously. We want everybody to be able to enjoy 2XKO. And so we have some devs dedicated to this specifically. And I just want to call it, like, when the game comes out, it's going to be a bit bare bones in that regard.
Yeah.
However, we're going to continue to add features to that over time and make it better and better.
Overall, I'm very excited. I feel like the whole team's excited because this is working exactly how we wanted it to work, right? Like, this is Alpha Lab in all of its glory of us learning so much about the game.
I can't say this enough. I know sometimes it could be hard to get your thoughts out there, and I really appreciate everybody hitting me up directly with feedback, with thoughts, suggestions, hitting up the entire team really, whether it's content you're making, streams, literally comments on like a YouTube video, you know, subreddit, you name it. Like, we're everywhere, and so, you know, please keep it coming.
What is your perspective of taking in feedback, and how do we actually parse through it to make our decisions?
We often say here, and you probably hear me say it, that we're very data informed, not data driven. So, you know, we're looking at the data, we're looking at the sentiment from players, we're looking at the player feedback, and we're playing the game, and we're watching and seeing what's happened across all skill levels. And we use all that together to make decisions, but we have a set of design goals and values for this product. And so we're gonna stick to those. However, you know, we're going to learn new information. We're going to evolve it over time. I want to be like crystal clear that, like, hey, we're not designing by committee, excuse me, but we are building this with the players. And what that means is that we're listening and we're taking that into account. We're not afraid to evolve our thoughts and our baseline assumptions.
Yeah, from everything that I've heard from you in the past, you definitely want to keep the depth, but you still want to hear what everyone's experiencing so we can find new ways to address it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Even the stuff we talked about earlier around, like, you know, better onboarding or, you know, hey, like matchmaking, you know, players are telling us, hey, like, we want to make it easier to have quality matches early on. You know, yeah, we agree. And so we're going to look into that stuff, you know, and a lot of times the feedback we get lines up with stuff we want to do anyway, which is my favorite part. You know, it's because we're all on the same page. Sometimes we're not, though. And in those cases, we dig deeper and we talk through it and we figure out, you know, what's really going on.
The other thing that I've been seeing a lot is, even though we let some more people in, I've still seen fan art contests. A lot of people want to get in. So if they didn't get in this Alpha Lab, when is the next time that they're going to get a shot? When's the next playtest?
Great question. So as you would expect, like, we're getting a ton of feedback, and there's actually a lot of stuff we want to change in order to improve the game. So there's going to be some time. You know, we need a little bit of heads down time to get this stuff in and also test it. You know, but boy, we've heard a lot of folks that are like, hey, like, is there another wave coming? Can I get in? So yeah, what if we just let some more folks in tomorrow?
Let's do it. Can we just do it?
Yeah, I mean, can I do this? Can we do this? Is it? Can we? Great.
Jared says yes.
All right. So everybody around me is saying yes. So we're gonna let folks know this will be the last wave. You know, there's not a lot of time left in Alpha Lab, but yeah, we heard y'all. You know, many more people want to play, so why not? So be on the lookout for another wave.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. Everybody, remember to fill out your survey at the end of Alpha Lab, and we're still going to continue to monitor social media, Twitch, YouTube, everywhere. So we really appreciate you. So thank you.
Thank you. Hit us up. Let us know what you think.